Hey everybody, my name is Manary Salinas,
This is Jimmy Punzo.
and today we're gonna talk about Shirley Chisholm, who was the first African American woman to be the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party in 1972 and opened up the way for women to participate in politics.
Shirley Chisholm was the first African American congresswoman. She was the first to be elected to United States Congress back in 1968. She was a Democrat who was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Um, she represented New York's 12th congressional district, where she was elected 7 terms. Uh, in 1972, she became the first black female candidate for president of the United States. She was born Shirley Anita St. Hill on November 30th, 1924. She was born to immigrant parents in Brooklyn, New York. And Shirley is the oldest of 4 daughters. She was involved heavily with the Democratic clubs back in Brooklyn. She was involved with the Bedford Stuyvesant Political League and the Unity Democratic Club in Brooklyn. She In 1964, Chisholm was elected to the New York State Legislature and was the second African American woman to serve in Albany. Uh, while in legislation, she was getting unemployed benefits extended to domestic workers. And she also sponsored a program called SEEK, Search for Education, Elevation, and Knowledge. And that program provided disadvantaged students a chance to enter college while receiving some remedial education. Part of her childhood, she lived in Barbados, where she received a British education while her parents worked through the Great Depression. In 1934, her family moved to Bedford Stuyvesant, New York, which is a neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. Chisholm was of Guyanese and Bayesian descent. Her father was a factory worker born in British Guiana before moving to Barbados, where he then finally made it to New York back in 1923. Her mother was a seamstress who was born in Barbados and arrived in New York in 1921. Shirley's education in New York was attending public school and a college in Brooklyn, where she graduated high school, and then she attended Brooklyn College, where she graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology back in 1946. In 1949, she met and got married to Conrad Q. Chisholm, who was a private investigator. She also worked as a nursery school teacher and became a director of 2 daycare centers. And then 3 years later, she earned a master's degree in early childhood from the University of Columbia. In 1954 to 1964, she served as an educational consultant for New York City's Division of Daycare.
Coming from an educational background as well as a minority status allowed Shirley Chisholm to learn the real American experience from all perspectives and not just from a single perspective. This allowed her to learn about the needs and wants of certain groups, not just her own, and pretty much represent them once she got the opportunity to go up into the politics fields. And that led her to represent every American. And as she stated, she was a woman and she was African American, but she was able to represent everybody equally and represent them in the government positions she got acquired. Um, Shirley Schism is relevant to our conversation right now because she challenged the gender roles and the social roles for minorities when she participated in the 1972 candidacy for the presidency. During the 1972 presidential campaign, Schism challenged the minority and gender roles in society at the time by using the phrase unbought and unbossed. This phrase pretty much meant that she was not following anybody's orders or over what should be done, but rather what was best for the American people in a democratic way. Following this mindset, she based her campaign over three things: education, worker rights, and humanitarian treatment for everybody in the US. Being a former educator herself led her to become a defender of public education because she understood the importance that education can have in American life and development in society at the time. She was often in favor of trade unions and was often photographed in strikes and talking to workers across the US. For humanitarian treatment for everybody, she was a proud feminist and she was in favor of improving the treatment for um, refugees in the US and improving the relationships between countries, for example, the US and Mexico. She was a defender of women's rights in societies and she was a supporter of LGBTQ rights and she fought against police brutality. Fighting against police brutality was important at the time because minorities had a rough relationship to law enforcement, which meant that they were being mistreated just on their ethnic identity or for being non-white members. She was also fighting to increase the democracy in the state and the welfare of all Americans overall. While Shirley Chisholm did not win the 1972 presidential election, she did leave a legacy of hard work and many firsts in society. As we mentioned in this video, she was the first African American to do many things. She was the first African American presidential candidate, and she was the first woman to challenge the position. She leaves behind a hard work legacy by being always an activist for equal rights for all Americans and for people in the US to know that no matter where you come from, minority or not, you can do a difference in your society through hard work and dedication. While she opened the doors for many African Americans and women, we still need to take more steps in the future to provide equal opportunities for all. We hope that this presentation inspires you to make a difference and, like Shirley Chisholm, open the doors for future generations to have better opportunities. Thank you.